Dillian, the body snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Right, so in the last video, I spoke about Mark Breland's comments on the career of Deontay Wilder is pretty much finished, much like his relationship with Deontay Wilder is finished, and no, he did not spike Deontay Wilder's water, so there's that video. In the next video, I'm going to be speaking about Mark Breland's comments on Anthony Joshua not being very good, and in this video, speak about Mark Breland saying how Deontay Wilder's resume is not very good. In other words, it's trash, and there's no way that Tyson Fury cheated. Right, so click that subscribe button. Now, the reason why I'm doing this over 3 videos as opposed to doing it all in one video is for a couple of reasons. Number one, what kind of headline could I possibly use that's going to sum up what this video is about? Okay, it's very difficult. But another one is so at least you guys can choose which subject you want me to talk about. Okay, so that's why I'm doing it to 3. And as I spoke with Spencer Fearon when I dropped him a text message, in fact it's a voicemail, saying thank you very much for the headlines. All right, anyway, so in this one, we're talking about Mark Breland's comments on Deontay Wilder's resume not being very good, and there's no way that Tyson Fury cheated. He didn't need to cheat to beat Deontay Wilder. Now, this video was conducted by Spencer Fearon and Tunde Ajayi here on YouTube at Stamina for Sale. Link in the description box for The Fight Is Right. So once again, big up to Spencer Fearon and Tunde Ajayi for getting the one and only exclusive that Mark Breland has given since the Deontay Wilder-Tyson Fury rematch. And of course, all the allegations made towards Mark Breland and that as well. So big up to those guys. Now, Deontay Wilder's resume, is it poor? Of course it's poor, it's trash. I've said this 100 times. You guys have been saying it as well. Who has he beat? The Wildettes, the Wilder fanatics, they will talk about how he's got, 40 knockouts. He's had X amount of world title defenses, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, okay, that's all it is. It's just talk. Who's he beat? Who? Hey, you can't pull out anybody without it being ridiculed back. He hasn't beat anybody. He just hasn't. He's beat nobody who was undefeated fighters and all that kind of stuff, who were on the rise, who were meant to be the next big thing or world champions. He ain't done that kind of thing. In fact, his best wins leading up to him getting his world title shot on his 33rd fight was Audley Harrison, who was already shot to pieces at that point. Outside of that, maybe a Malik Scott who took a punch on the gloves right after he winked at Wilder and went down like he'd been shot. Play acting much, good friends with Wilder much. Strange how he's part of Deontay Wilder's training camp, isn't it? But outside of that, who's he really beat? Likovic, former WBO World Heavyweight Champion. Okay, but we all know why he was champion, okay? But outside of that, who'd he beat? In fact, his very last fight before he won the title against Bermane Stiverne was against Jason Gavin. And notice I have no notes in front of me whatsoever. I know all this because that's how appalling his resume actually is. He's been fighting journeymen his entire career. And a lot of them were former light heavyweights. Okay. Now, we know that Wilder, the reason why he's been built so slowly is because he weren't very good. He's technically, fundamentally flawed in every kind of way. But yes, he does carry big power. But again, he's knocking out who? Who's he been knocking out? He got rumbled and hit to the floor by Harold Skolniers in his 13th professional fight. He was on Bambi dancing legs when he fought Eric Molina. He was getting beaten from pillar to post by Johan Duapa, look at his face if you don't believe me, and Artur Spilka. But he always manages to pull the ace out of the hat and knocks out his opponent. So he's been getting away with it. People have been glossing over his resume and his wins because he's getting the win, which is basically the most important thing, of course. But it's trash. He hasn't been fighting anybody. But as Mark Breland said, his only real step up was against Luis Ortiz. But again, Luis Ortiz, let's be real here, and let's be brutally honest. And I know Wilder fans don't like honesty. They like delusion. But Luis Ortiz, on the night of the fight, was nearly replaced by Charles Martin. Do you know why? Because Luis Ortiz weren't getting past that medical. They didn't want to let Luis Ortiz fight because there were irregular heartbeats or whatever it was to do with his heart. It was something like that. But Luis Ortiz, so we're led to believe, signed some kind of waiver to say, well, if anything catastrophic happens, it's on me. I made this decision. And then the fight went ahead. But again, who's Luis Ortiz beaten? Who? Bryant Jennings 5-6 years ago, who came off of a loss to Vladimir Klitschko. Is that his best win? A 56-year-old Tony Thompson. Was that another one? Again, a Malik Scott maybe? No. Dave Allen maybe? So who's he really beat? You could say, yeah, but he had this long, illustrious amateur career. No, he had a long amateur career, not illustrious. He's not the boogeyman. He never was. The boogeyman thing came out from Tyson Fury when he once joked by calling Luis Ortiz the boogeyman, saying, hey, I ain't fighting him. He was joking. That's where that tag came from, okay? But his amateur career, sure, was very, very long. But what did he win? Absolutely nothing. He never even qualified for the Olympics. He never went to the Olympics, let alone medal for one. He never won the World Championships. He didn't win anything, really. Just some local Cuban titles. That was it. Out of what, 350, 400 amateur fights? He ain't done anything. But either way, that's Wilder's step up. That's what Wilder will be praised for the Luis Ortiz fight. Again, where Luis Ortiz pretty much had him out of there in round number 7. Again, let's be honest. But ultimately, despite the fact that Wilder got help from the referee to buy a bit more time and all that kind of stuff, he got the job done ultimately and ended up stopping Luis Ortiz. Was it round number 10 off the top of my head? So, but outside of that, he's defeated a Chris Arreola, a Bermane Stiverne rematched. I mean, come on now. A Dominic Breazeale, who'd already been knocked out by Anthony Joshua a few years before when Dominic Breazeale was undefeated. He'd fought a Artur Spilka, Johan Dewapa, and all these kind of guys. I mean, his resume is trash. It's trash. Yes, okay, he fought Luis Ortiz again for a second time. And nobody was asking for it. Nobody was happy about it, which is why it done poorly for viewership. It done poor because nobody was asking for that rematch. They were immediately after the first one because they felt that Luis Ortiz was hard done by. But since then, things were like, no, you should be fighting Anthony Joshua. But no, they didn't want to fight Anthony Joshua. He quickly made the announcement in case Anthony Joshua won his next fight. Ultimately, Joshua did end up losing to Andy Ruiz Jr. But on the build-up to that fight, only a couple of days before Joshua fought Ruiz, thinking that Joshua was going to win and call out Wilder in the middle of the ring in Madison Square Garden, New York City, United States of America, call out the American champion. No point calling me out because I've just signed up to fight Luis Ortiz. And then I'm going to go fight a rematch with Tyson Fury. These were Wilder's own words. Again, Wilder had numerous opportunities before all of this to become undisputed before. He had first dibs on Vladimir Klitschko before Tyson Fury got him and before Anthony Joshua got him. Shelly Finkel, Deontay Wilder's manager, said, well, Wilder, he's only had 33 fights, he's still a baby, he's still a prospect. All this kind of thing. This is what his own manager was saying. But yet, Shelly Finkel managed Deontay Wilder and managed both the Klitschko brothers. So very, very easy fight to make. In fact, he could have fought Vitaly Klitschko before Vitaly Klitschko retired, vacated the belt, which is how Bermane Stiverne got the belt. Fact, not opinion, fact. Shelly Finkel managed the Klitschko brothers and Wilder. He could have fought Anthony Joshua on numerous occasions. Didn't want to do it, with the most famous one being turned down $100 million. And in Deontay Wilder's own words, he turned down a bigger offer from Anthony Joshua to take less money against Tyson Fury. And I've heard some Deontay Wilder fans saying, no, Wilder, he never said that. He never said that. He said that he might have made more money to fight Anthony Joshua. Go read it back. It's in black and white, you complete moron. He says, I was offered more money to fight Anthony Joshua than what I got for fighting Tyson Fury. He was offered. Not he might get, he was offered and he turned it down. Like an absolute moron that he is. Anyway, his resume is trash. So let's move on to Tyson Fury. Mark Breland says that Tyson Fury didn't cheat. In fact, Deontay Wilder couldn't beat Tyson Fury in any way, shape or form. He's nowhere near a Tyson Fury level. And as he says there, JD's was overwatching the gloves and the wraps being put on to the hands of Tyson Fury. So how could it be possible that Tyson Fury cheated? Well, it's not possible, is it? Okay, Mark Breland, he was sarcastic for a little bit where he says, well, who knows, maybe, JD's is blind. Maybe they wrapped his hands in plaster cast and JD probably wouldn't have seen it. I mean, again, how bad does that look for JD's if Tyson Fury did do something and got away with it? Well, shouldn't he be the one fired, not Mark Breland? Surely to God. Anyway, it is what it is. So no, Tyson Fury did not cheat, as Mark Breland said there. Tyson Fury did not cheat. Does not need to cheat when it comes to Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is not that good. He's not that good, especially when it comes to a Tyson Fury. If Tyson Fury can negate 2 heavy hands from Vladimir Klitschko, he can certainly negate 1 straight right hand from a Deontay Wilder who can't throw the left for love nor money, whose footwork is shoddy, and who can't take it on the chin. Fury was always going to win that rematch. Tyson Fury, on his worst day, did not get beat by Deontay Wilder in the first fight. They had to screw Tyson Fury to a draw. So no, Tyson Fury does not need to cheat. All the glovegate nonsense with the horsehair and blah, 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 blah. It's reaching. You are the worst fans in the history of boxing. And no fans ride for their fighter the way that you guys do and reach into a bucket of excuses like you lot do. Wilder is an absolute embarrassment to American heavyweight boxing. No, forget that. American boxing. He's an embarrassment to it because of the excuses, because of his shitty resume. He ain't no Hall of Famer, should never ever be so. But of course he may end up being one, because obviously Mauricio Sulaimán has a bit of a pull when it comes to that. And we all know that Deontay Wilder could well be Mauricio Sulaimán's love child, who knows. Anyway, drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.